Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going on an absolutely mind-bending journey. We're starting with the hardest, most cutting-edge science on the planet, and we're going to discover how theorists are actually connecting those modern discoveries to ancient blueprints and mystical concepts. From the unbelievable mechanics of the Large Hadron Collider and the famous God particle, all the way to time travel and ancient artifacts, we've got a lot of ground to cover. So let's dive right in.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Inside the collider. 2. Unlocking the God particle. 3. Dimensions and time travel. 4. Tapping into cosmic knowledge. And finally, 5. Ancient accelerator blueprints.
Section 1. Inside the Hadron Collider.
Okay, let's just start by marveling at the sheer macro scale of this human engineering. Buried 300 feet underground in Geneva, Switzerland, sits the most complicated and powerful device human beings have ever constructed. And look at this staggering number, 670 million. That is the speed, in miles per hour, that tiny protons travel around this massive 17-mile underground track. The energy release down there is so intensely powerful that before it was even turned on, some people literally feared it could create a black hole and swallow the Earth. But instead, it's actually recreating the exact conditions from the very first instant of the Big Bang.
So how does this incredible machine actually work? Well, the mechanics are elegantly simple in theory, even if they're unbelievably complex to execute. Step 1. The collider accelerates protons. Those are the key elements of an atom's nucleus, in a continuous circular motion. Step 2. It gets two separate beams of these protons moving in opposite directions along that massive 17-mile loop. Step 3. It forces them to collide head-on at that mind-blowing 670 million miles per hour speed. And finally, Step 4. Scientists study the microscopic subatomic debris that results from that massive crash.
To put it simply, think of it like this. Imagine taking two intricate, ordinary physical objects, like delicate mechanical watches, and smashing them together as hard as you possibly can, just to see all the tiny gears and springs that fly out. By breaking protons apart like this, scientists are able to study the fundamental building blocks that make up absolutely all matter in our universe. It's like reverse engineering reality itself.
Section 2. Unlocking the God particle.
By smashing these particles together, physicists were essentially looking for the ultimate glue that binds the four forces of nature together. And looking at this timeline, we can trace a truly monumental discovery. Way back in 1964, physicist Peter Higgs first theorized a specific, elusive particle. Fast forward to December 2011, and scientists at CERN announced they had possible evidence of it. Then, on July 4, 2012, in an auditorium packed with cheering scientists, CERN officially confirmed the discovery of the Higgs boson, often called the God particle. It was a massive milestone in human history. It basically confirmed that our models of reality were right all along.
But what exactly did they find down there? Well, they confirmed the existence of the Higgs field. This is an invisible force permeating all of space-time. The sources provide a really brilliant analogy for this. Imagine ping-pong balls moving through sand. A ball skimming the very top moves incredibly fast, right? But pushed deep into the sand, it drags and slows down. When particles interact with this invisible Higgs field, they drag, they acquire mass, and they slow down enough to form solid matter. Basically, without this field, planets, stars, and, you and I, simply wouldn't exist.
Section 3. Dimensions and time travel.
Now, with that peer-reviewed science established, the source material pivots to explore how manipulating these fields could radically change reality. We're stepping into theoretical and speculative physics here. Enter a really mind-bending concept, the Higgs singlet. Some scientists believe the discovery of the God particle might eventually lead to the creation of this singlet. See, according to string theory, our universe doesn't just have 3 or 4 dimensions, but up to 11 subatomic dimensions that are currently inaccessible to us. Theoretically, the Higgs singlet possesses the ability to travel along these hidden dimensions. That means it could slip out of our reality and appear in the past or the future.
Which leads theorists to a highly speculative but totally fascinating question. Could other dimensions really exist that we just can't perceive? Ancient astronaut theorists, as suggested in our sources, pose a bold idea. If it's theoretically possible to switch off the massive particles and travel at near light speed, could advanced beings have already mastered the God particle to visit Earth? Now, we're just neutrally presenting this idea here, but it really shows you just how quickly modern physics can inspire wild theories of interstellar contact.
Section 4. Tapping into cosmic knowledge. This is where things get really interesting, because we start connecting these quantum forces to historical and mystical ideas about a universal consciousness. Have you ever heard of the Akashic Record? Ancient Hindu texts, like the Mahabharata, describe a non-physical plane of existence where absolutely all information in the universe, past, present, and future, is pre-existing and totally accessible. Some ancient cultures viewed this as a literal gift left by the gods. To put it in modern pop culture terms, the sources actually compare the Akashic Record to the Force from Star Wars, an omnipresent cosmic energy that individuals might somehow tap into.
But how do theorists connect this metaphysical concept to hard science? Well, they point to Albert Einstein's 1935 work on quantum entanglement. Einstein theorized, and experiments actually later proved, that if a particle is split, both parts remain instantaneously linked across vast distances. So if you change the spin of one here on Earth, the other responds equally and instantly, even if it's on the other side of the galaxy. Einstein famously, and somewhat jokingly, called this spooky communication at a distance.
If this quantum entanglement is real, theorists make a fascinating leap. Since we are fundamentally made of stardust, literally the exact same ancient particles that make up the rest of the universe, could our minds tap into that entangled quantum network? Think about this. In the 1970s, the US government actually funded Project Stargate, where individuals used altered states of consciousness to try and sense unknown targets across space through remote viewing. Furthermore, famous geniuses like Nikola Tesla and Socrates famously claimed to receive their massive breakthroughs via otherworldly communication. Were they simply tapping into this quantum Akashic record?
Section 5. Ancient Accelerator Blueprints.
This brings us to our final section, where the source material draws some really direct visual comparisons between our most advanced modern machinery and ancient sacred artifacts. Notice the intricate geometric comparison on screen right now. Theorists point out an eerie visual similarity between the physical layout of the Large Hadron Collider and the intricate stone carvings of the Aztec calendar. Historically, the Aztec calendar was known as a gateway to understanding the universe. Today, the collider serves exactly the same purpose for modern science, an enormous circular gateway used to unlock cosmic secrets. Proponents of the ancient astronaut theory suggest this visual echo is no mere coincidence.
And this mystery deepens even further in a cave in western China. In 1907, an explorer named Oriel Stein uncovered a completely sealed-off room in the Mago Caves. Inside, he found a massive cache of 50,000 ancient Buddhist texts and relics. It was essentially a forgotten ancient hall of records. And hidden among these thousands of texts was something highly unusual.
Among the texts was a 2nd-century Buddhist diagram depicting a mythical cosmic stairway known as Mount Meru. For a century, experts viewed this purely as religious art, but according to the source material, a modern weapons scientist from Northrop Grumman examined it and claimed the diagram is actually a near-perfect blueprint for a particle beam accelerator. When compared to a cyclotron, which was an early atom smasher used during the Manhattan Project, the scientists stated the ancient drawing and the modern machine were a visual match stacked with similar lenses and energy-focusing designs. But here's the catch. To power an accelerator of that sheer magnitude, you'd need a massive energy source, right? The text points out that the real-world Mount Kailash in Tibet features a distinct, almost pyramid-like shape. Fringe theorists, which we're neutrally highlighting from the text here, suggest that if Mount Meru was somehow an ancient machine, Mount Kailash might not have just been a spiritual center, it might have been a literal technological power plant, producing raw energy for it.
Which leaves us with this final, profound question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. From the massive 17-mile underground loop of the Large Hadron Collider to ancient texts hidden in remote caves, if our modern pursuit of quantum physics truly mirrors these ancient blueprints, are we discovering the secrets of the universe for the first time, or are we simply rediscovering them? It's a fascinating lens that blends hard science with historical mystery. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep questioning everything.